Okay, dear students, good morning. Is my voice is audible? Shanti Priya, please type a message. Is my voice is audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So in last session, previous week, we have discussed about algorithms, right? Introduction to algorithms, where we have seen definition of an algorithm, followed by uh, how to specify algorithms, specification of algorithms, right? So algorithm is a step-by-step procedure to solve a particular problem. So normally, if we follow those sequence of steps, we will arrive at a solution for the problem. Okay. Now, the solution may be represented by using different means. The first one is normally a simple English will be used to represent the statements, but normally we solve complex problems, so where the logic is very complex, and sometimes simple English may not be enough to represent the steps. So that is why we will go for flowchart kind of things. Flowchart is very useful uh, to represent the any logic, but the thing is when the problem size is big, so maybe one page or two pages may not be sufficient to represent the problem. So that is why we need to give connectors from one page to another page. Like that, flowcharts will be connected from one page to another page. So this is also not feasible, because when the problems we are dealing with very big problems, so uh, flowcharts are also having their own limitations. That is why to represent algorithms we will go for pseudocode, where some high level language constructs are mixed with the English statements, English language. Then steps are represented with this high level language constructs. So that is why we use pseudocode to represent any algorithm, and I have given the various things, various important points or instructions to follow while representing algorithm. So normally the algorithm starts with the keyword algorithm, followed by name of the algorithm, then followed by parameters. So then body of the statement is represented using uh, body of the statement is kept in between the open and closing braces. And as I told you, there are two kinds of algorithms: iterative algorithms or iterative algorithms and recursive algorithms. So we have seen some iterative algorithms like finding the sum of n elements in the given array, and in the recursive algorithms also we have seen different examples. One example we have already seen is towers of Hanai problem. Okay, so after explaining towers of Hanai problem, in the last class I have given the performance analysis. Okay, so the performance analysis, normally it is measured by using time complexity and space complexity. Okay, so sometimes for the same problem we have more than one algorithms, and we need to take the best algorithm. Okay, so to choose the best algorithm we need to analyze, we need to compare different algorithms. So to compare different algorithms we need certain parameters. One important parameter is time complexity, that is time taken by the program or algorithm to get the results. Okay, similarly another parameter is space complexity, that is amount of storage required to store the algorithm. So this, by using these two parameters we can judge whether the algorithm is good, or whether this algorithm is better than that or not. So such kind of judgments can be made, okay, by using these two parameters. Okay, in last class for finding the time complexity I have given two methods. One is step count method and another one is tabular method. We have seen these two methods in the last class. Okay. So by using step count method, we are counting the total number of steps in the algorithm. So here we are taking one counter variable, which is a global variable, which is initialized to 0. And after every step of algorithm, this counter is incremented. So at the end of the algorithm, the value in the counter will give you total number of steps in the algorithm. So we have seen some example also here. In this example, the slide is visible? Shanti Priya, slide is visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Method one slide is visible.
Yeah. So method one, this is for finding the sum of elements in the given array. So this algorithm also we have seen in the last class, right? So here initially count is 0. After every step, here you see S is 0. 0 is assigned to S. This is one step. After this step, we are incremented count. Similarly, after first statement, we are incremented count. Similarly, after assigning statement S is equal to S plus AI, we are incremented count. So like that, so after every step in the algorithm, the counter is incremented. Finally, the value in the counter is 2n plus 3. Okay. So this is what step count method. And the step count method we have seen also for recursive algorithms. Okay. Then this solving this recurrence equation is also okay done in last class, right? Yes or no? Is it completed? Substitution method. Harika. Harika. Rajesh. Hemant Krishna.
Yes, sir.
So is it covered in last class? Solving the recursive equation by using substitution method. Just check your notes once. Have you attended last class? Are you present in the last class?
Yes, sir, I'm present, sir. Just
Okay.
now, sir, I'm checking my notes.
Check once. So where we have stopped in the last class. So any one
Yes,
of you
sir,
can check.
we have completed this.
What?
This example we have completed, sir, last class. This is the last example.
Okay. So this is we have completed, right? Very good. So this is how we can solve. This is the substitution method used to solve the recurrence relations, right? Now we will see another method, tabular method, for finding the step count. Okay. So this tabular method is used to determine the total number of steps contributed by each statement, that is per execution, and how many times each statement is executed, that is frequency. So execution statement and into frequency will give you total number of steps in the program. Now just see this. For the same problem, algorithm, you write a table like this with the headers statement S by E. S by E stands for steps per execution. Frequency. Frequency means how many number of times each statement in the algorithm is get executed. So if you multiply this S by E into frequency, you will get total steps. Okay. Now you see this is the algorithm for finding the sum. Okay, you are given set of elements and you are asked to find the sum. So initially sum is 0. Okay, because n elements are there, we use for loop for I is 1 to n, sum equal to sum plus a of I. So every element is added. Then finally sum is returned. So this is the simple algorithm, and here if you take this statement algorithm, this won't take any time because this is the statement of algorithm, and CPU won't spend any time here. And similarly opening and closing braces, they also don't take any time. That is why they are taken as 0, 0. Okay. So CPU will not spend any time at these steps: opening brace, closing brace, and algorithm statement algorithm. Now, next statement is s equal to 0. So at s is equal to 0, that means 0 is assigned to s. So CPU is spending some time here. That is why it is taken as 1. Similarly, for loop, this is also taken as one step. Even though for loop is having initialization, condition checking, and incrementation, all are treated as one step. Okay. Then next one is s is equal to s plus ai. This is one step, right? And we are returning some value, that will be taken as one step because CPU will spend some time there. Now that is steps for execution. So if you execute once, s is equal to 0 is taken as one step, for is taken as one step, s is equal to s plus ai is taken as one step, return of s taken as one step. Now, because this algorithm, you see, for loop is executed n plus 1 times. So the frequency is taken here as n plus 1. In the entire algorithm, if you take till the termination, okay, by the end of the termination, this for loop is executed n plus 1 times. N times statement is true, n plus 1th time it will come out of the for loop. So that is why n plus 1. Similarly, the statement within the for loop is executed n times. So from the beginning to ending, how many times these statements are executed, that is your frequency. Now the s by e into frequency. So this column and this column, s by e into frequency, will give you total number of steps. Okay. So 1 into 1, 1, 1 into n plus 1, n plus 1, 1 into n, 1 into 1, 1. So this is the total steps. Now if you sum up all these, if you sum all these steps, okay, you will get 2n plus 3. So 2n plus 3 is the step count. So this is how the tabular method will work. Okay, this is how the tabular method will work. Just give me a second. Okay. So all of you respond to your roll call. 16 30016.
Present, sir.
Okay. 25
Present, sir.
39
Present, sir.
45
Present, sir.
65
Present, sir.
78
Present, sir.
135
Present, sir.
219
Present, sir.
222 254
Present, sir.
254
Present, sir.
254. What is your name? 254.
254. Present, sir.
Okay, last year, right.
Sir.
So all of you only respond to your roll call because your names are visible to me here. $333,
Present, sir.
$351,
Present, sir.
Sahitya, 411,
Present, sir. 411.
421, 421, 424, 445,
Yes, sir.
484,
Present, sir.
484,
Present, sir.
558,
Present, sir.
562,
Present, sir.
596,
596 present, sir.
596 present.
596 present, sir.
Okay, 603,
Present, sir.
633, 64,
664. Present, sir.
666,
Present, sir.
715,
Sir.
715,
Present, sir.
742,
Present, sir.
821,
Present, sir.
865, 891,
Present, sir.
936,
Present, sir.
944,
Present, sir.
963,
Present, sir.
984,
Present, sir.
989,
Present, sir.
996, 1023, 1084,
Present, sir.
1116,
Present, sir.
1151,
Present, sir.
1165,
Present, sir.
1175,
Present, sir.
1195, 1218,
Present, sir.
1288, 1574, 1587,
Present, sir.
1589, 1595,
Present, sir.
1601, 1634,
Present, sir.
1714,
Present, sir.
1721,
Present, sir.
1726,
Present, sir.
769,
Present, sir.
1777, 1791,
Present, sir.
1839,
Yes, sir.
1849,
Present, sir.
1883, 1885, 1949 1970
Present, sir.
1970
Present, sir.
2002
Sir, 949 present, sir.
okay 2002
Present, sir.
32013
Present, sir.
2089
Present, sir.
2098
Present, sir.
okay
Sir, 31883 present. Hello, sir.
చెప్పండి చెప్పండమ్మా
Sir,
చెప్పండి
31574 present, sir.
ఎంత
31574.
315
74. Sir, 31777 present, sir.
మరి ఇందాక ఎందుకు పలకలేదు 31
sir.
ఎంతమ్మా
777, sir. 31777.
31777
Yes, sir.
ఓకే
31883, sir.
31
883, sir.
ఓకే
సార్ 30865 సార్.
అందరూ ప్రజెంట్ ఇక్కడ మాత్రం మీరు నంబర్ ఆఫ్ అటెండీస్ 59 హౌ ఇట్ ఈస్ పాసిబుల్ సో సంబడి ఈజ్ టెల్లింగ్ ఫ్రాడ్ అటెండెన్స్ రైట్
సార్ 30865 సార్.
715 కి 46
3101 sir.
Sir, 865 sir. 30865.
30
865.
సో నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్ నుంచి ఫస్ట్ లోనే అటెండెన్స్ తీసుకుంటా
31601 sir.
Sir, 31023 sir.
ఓకే లీవ్ ఇట్ నేను ఇక్కడ ఆపేస్తున్నాను మీరు ఆబ్సెంట్లు తర్వాత చూద్దాం
Sir, 3102.
కమ్ ఎర్లీ నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్లో ఫస్ట్లో అటెండెన్స్ తీసుకుంటే అప్పుడు మీకు ఇప్పుడు వచ్చిన వాళ్ళు ఉంటే మాడిఫై చేస్తాను okay so this is what this screen is visible tabular method
Yes, sir.
okay fine so next after time complexity we will look into the space complexity as I told you it is the amount of computer memory that is required during program execution okay so that is nothing but your time complexity amount of storage or amount of computer memory required till the execution okay so normally the space complexity is expressed as a fixed part and a variable part so fixed part is taken as the amount of memory required for fixed variable and variable part it is based on the instance variables so for example in your algorithm if you use some array okay so array is an instance variable right because how much memory is to be assigned for array that is not known in the beginning right because sometimes number of elements is 10 then 10 array memory allocated is for 10 array elements suppose n is equal to 50 that is size of array is 50 then you need to allocate memory for 50 array elements suppose if n is 100 then 50 for 100 array elements you need to allocate memory so that is why such kind of variables in the algorithm is called array like variables in the algorithm is called as instance variables. So the memory requirements will be determined at runtime. That is why that comes under variable part. So we will see one small example how we calculate this space complexity, right? Look at the simple algorithm. Name of the algorithm is ABC, and parameters you are passing is A, B, C, right? Now here there is only one statement, and you are returning the value of this statement, that is A plus B into C plus A plus B minus C by A plus. So for computation of this is returned. Now here if you see, there are no instance variables. There is no array kind of things. Here all are fixed variables. What are how many variables are there? Here there are three kinds of variables: A, B and C. Only three types of variables are there. Okay. For instance, assume that all these three variables are integers. Because there are three variables which are integers, assume each integer will take 4 bytes. Then 3 into 4 bytes, that is 12 bytes. 12 bytes of memory is required for this algorithm for storage, right? So here there are three different variables are there. If you assume each variable will take 4 bytes, and there are three variables, 3 into 4 bytes, that is 12 bytes of memory is required. And because there is no variable part, variable memory requirement is 0. So total memory requirement is fixed part plus variable part, that is 12 plus 0, that is total 12. So that is how you can calculate the space complexity of an algorithm. Okay, here in this example there is no instance variable. We will see one more example where this instance variable is there. The simple example, right? So here this algorithm is once again for finding the sum. Okay. Now tell me here how many fixed variables are there, how many instance variables are there?
Fixed variables are S only, no sir. A of I is array, sir.
Right. A is array, that is instance variable, and S is fixed variable. In addition to that, I is also fixed variable, right?
Oh, we have to count I also, sir.
V and N also fixed variables, because they also take some memory, right? You need to store the value of S. Similarly, you need to store the value of I. Similarly, you need to store the value of N also. So there are three fixed variables. Yes or no?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So there are three fixed variables. That is why here fixed part is 3. Look at here. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now variable part. What is the variable part? Instance part, that is A. So we are storing elements in the array. If 3 elements are stored, that is N is 3, then we require storage for 3 elements. Suppose if N is 10, we require storage for 10 elements. If N is 100, we require storage for 100 elements, right? So if N elements are there, we require storage for N elements. That is why variable part is N. So this is variable part of memory requirement, which is based on the instance variables. Here instance variable is array, and this 3 is the memory requirement for fixed variables. Here in this algorithm there are 3 fixed variables. One is 0, one is S, another one is I, another one is N, right? So this is how you can find out the space complexity. Okay.
Sir, here return statement cannot counted, sir. Cannot be counted. Means
here return statement cannot be counted, because here we are talking about memory.
okay, sir.
storage, space complexity we are talking. We are not talking about time complexity. Time complexity means to return some value, CPU will take some time. That is why in the
Means it verifies that value. In that logic, it will verify.
no, we are returning the sum. So for that, to return the output, CPU requires some time.
Okay, sir.
But here in space complexity, for already yes we have taken, right? Here.
Yes, sir. Starting initially.
Starting itself we have taken.
Yes,
Number
0.
five. So that is why here we are not counted. It is not counted.
Okay.
So space requirement is only n plus 3. So in this way we can count space complexity. Okay, so in this particular example, can you find out time and space complexity? Already I have given. First you compute the time complexity, right? So in the algorithm statement, first statement, so 0 statements are there. Opening brace, so CPU won't take any time, so 0 statement. Similarly, this first statement, how many times first statement is get executed? M plus 1 times. Right? Once again opening brace, 0. Once again first statement is there, J is 1 to n plus 1. So how many times this first statement is get executed? Because this is
n plus 1 for this one.
This first statement itself get executed n plus 1 times, but this statement is within another for.
Sir.
So that is why m into n plus 1, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, how many times this statement is get executed? This statement C of ij is equal to A of ij plus B of ij is in 2 for loops.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is executed mn times. Closing brace 0, all closing braces 0. So if you sum up all these values, m plus 1 plus 0 plus m of n plus 1 plus mn. So total time complexity will be 2mn. Okay, mn plus mn. 2mn plus 2m. Here 1m is there. So here another m is there, right? m into 1 m. 2m plus 1. So this is the step count, total time complexity. Now what is the space complexity here? Find out the space complexity.
Sir, here instance variables are C, A, B, sir, and fixed variables are M, I, J, N.
Very good. So here instance variables are 3 arrays, A, B, C. Right? A, B, C are 3 instance variables. How much memory is required for each array?
Means for one array, for I you have taken in range of 1 to m, no sir. So m and for n also, for j also 1 to m, sir. So we have to take mn, sir.
Right. Here these arrays are 2-dimensional arrays. Okay, C of ij means 2-dimensional array, not single array, simple array, right? Now, where I is ranging from 1 to m, j is ranging from 1 to m. That means the size of the matrix is m by n, right? For each array, the size is m by n. Okay, so that means how much memory is required for each array? Mn. Okay, for each array, mn memory is required, because size of the array is m comma n, maximum size. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so each array will take mn size, m into n. How many arrays are there? 3 arrays, right? So that is why 3 into mn is the amount of memory required for instance variables or changing variables. plus, okay, what is the amount of memory required for fixed variables? Tell me.
4.
4. What are those variables?
I, J, M, N.
Very good. I, J, M, N.
N.
Very good. There are 4 variables. So 4. So this is 3mn plus 4 is the space complexity for this algorithm. So time complexity is 2mn plus 2m plus 1 and space complexity is 3mn plus 4. So this is how we compute space and time complexities. Okay. So normally when you are computing, when you are directly saying answer, you need not to write all these steps. Okay, for understanding purpose only I have given 0, 0, 0 by looking at the algorithm itself. Okay, here 2 for loops are there. This for loop will take m plus 1. This for loop will take m. Like that, directly you can calculate the time complexity. Okay. Next we go to the next session. So this is based on asymptotic notations. Okay. So here in this session, we will discuss big O, omega, and theta notations. Big O notation, omega notation, and theta notations. So before knowing the definitions of big O, omega, and theta, so we need to understand different functions, runtime functions we are going to use. Okay. Now, so far we have calculated step count. Step count, we are saying that step count is the time complexity of an algorithm. Okay. So time complexity is expressed as total number of steps. Now once again we are talking about asymptotic notations to represent the time complexity. Okay. So why? Because normally if you look at the previous examples we have given, so the step count is not exact. Okay, strictly speaking, whatever we have considered is not exact. Why? Because if you remember the previous algorithm, that is finding the sum, s is equal to 0. Initially, sum is equal to 0. That is assigned as one step. Simple assignment. 0 is assigned to s. That is taken as one step. But first statement is also taken as one step. But if you see the first statement, within first statement, what is there? There are 3 things. One is initialization, condition checking, incrementation. There are 3 micro steps are there in the first statement. Still, we are taking for as one step, right? So is it fair? Above, s is equal to 0. Simple assignment is taken as one step. And in the same algorithm, the first statement is also considered as one step, where first statement is having 3 micro operations like initialization, I is equal to 0, initialization, I less than or equal to n, condition checking, I plus plus, incrementation. So these 3 are also considered as one step. Okay, but these 3 steps together will take more time when compared to assignment. But in our algorithm, we are taking both as one step and one step, right? So that is why the way of taking step count is not exact. That is why sometimes even though the step count is say 2n plus 3, or step count is 5n plus n, okay, we cannot judge the algorithm is good or bad, or this algorithm is better than that. We cannot make such type of statements because our step count is not exact. So to obtain the time complexities and to compare, to have these judgments in a more generalized way, we will go for this asymptotic notations. Okay, so we will see what is this asymptotic notation. We will take some function like constant function, log n function, okay, n, that is linear, logarithmic function, quadratic function, cubic function. So now we will express the growth rate is by changing the value of n, how time complexity varies, that is growth rate. So that growth rate is expressed in terms of some standard functions like constant, logarithmic, linear, n log n, quadratic, like this. Okay. Now so these are the growth rates. Time is, one is constant function, log n, n log n, and here you see instance characteristics. N is 1, 2, 4, 8, n is 16, n is 32. So by changing n value, how this function is varying. Okay, because this first line, this is constant function, there is no variation. But in the next log n, logarithmic function, log 1 is 0, log 2 is 1, log 4 is 2, log 8 is 3, like that. See how it is increasing, how the time complexity is increasing with n value. Now take the function n, see the variation by changing n. Similarly, take the function n log n. See how the variation is, how the growth is n square, n cube. Okay. Suppose if the function is, time complexity function is in terms of 2 power n, exponential, then see what is the growth rate. If it is n factorial, see what is the growth rate. Okay, from this table, can anyone tell me what is your understanding? Ambika, Satya Ambika. Okay, Vishnu Teja, are you there? Rajesh.
Sir.
From the table, what is your understanding?
Sir, for constants, when n is a constant, then we have to add one step, sir.
Right.
For log n times, here for logarithmic, no sir. Here we have to add in n square means in log n means here we have to count as n square times, sir.
Okay.
For linear it will count in loops as n times, sir. Okay. Means n equal to 1, n equal to 1 means 1 time, n equal to 2 times, like that one, sir.
What is your conclusion? What is your understanding?
Understanding means whatever in the loop means in a loop when with respect to the instance variables, we have to calculate the time complexity and space complexity, sir.
Okay. For example, now look at, so your step count function is say 2 plus log n 1, and another step count function is say 5 plus n log n. Okay, so another step count function is p of n is okay 2 power n. Okay, like this 2 power n plus 5. Take 3 functions, 3 step count functions, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, based on this table, which is better, which is one algorithm, say for example, first algorithm is T1,
Yes, sir.
this one. Second algorithm is T2, step count is this one. Third algorithm is T3, step count is this. Now tell me which algorithm is better?
T1 is better, sir.
T1 is better, right? Because here
Since
two
it follows means it when compared to other algorithms, it is when we have applied when we have applied n equal to means some numbers, T1 having less
right.
less value, sir.
See here for n is equal to 1, no problem. All are one steps only.
Yes, sir.
But if n is equal to 32, how many
Yes.
steps are there in the first function? 2 plus log 32.
Log 32.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that is only 6 steps. 6 or 7 steps. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
N is equal to 32 means 7 steps. Here n log n. Maybe it may be around 100 steps, but 2 power 32 plus 5 here, how many steps?
It means
2 power 32.
32. It's a larger
Here,
value, sir.
very larger value. That means so many number of steps are there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, normally we assume that if number of steps are less, our algorithm will terminate fast. If number of steps are
But our memory also cannot take in that much large value.
for here asymptotic notations, we talk in terms of time complexity only, right?
Yes.
So here from this table, what is your understanding is the time complexity function, that is step count function, is in terms of log n, up to n log n, it is okay. So whenever you are designing an algorithm, your step count function should be in terms of log n log n, or n square only. If your time complexity function is in terms of 2 power n or n factorial, then whatever algorithm you have designed is useless, because for even smaller steps, n is equal to 32 itself, it will not terminate. It will take longer time to terminate. Okay, so our job is whenever we design an algorithm, it should terminate fast by giving correct output. Okay, when it will terminate fast, for example, if our algorithm is having step count function in terms of log n or n log n, it is good. But if our time complexity of our algorithm is in terms of 2 power n or n factorial, it will take more time. Okay, so that is why while designing your algorithms, you have to ensure that there should not be any exponential and factorial functions, time complexity functions in your algorithm. Got the point?
Yes, sir. For exponential and factorial, it will we have to take more memory space, sir, and it means
more time, because the number of steps are more.
Yes.
N is equal to 32. How many steps are there? This is the number of steps, right?
Yes, sir.
So that many number of steps means algorithm will take more time. So when algorithm takes more time, it is not good algorithm, right? So that is why you have to design algorithm such a way that the time complexity or step count function falls in log n log n, or n square, worst case, right? Not more than that. Even n cube also not good. So this is the diagram which explains how time complexity varies. So you have taken different functions, constant function, log n log n square, 2 power n. Okay. So here, even for small change in n value, the function is in exponential, the time complexity is very high. Time complexity is rising, see, just like that. Okay. So if you increase n value, then function is, if it is function is log n and n, then time complexity change is not much. Okay, number of steps are okay. So this is the growth rates, growth rates of different functions. that we have seen so far. Okay. Now, if you take here n square, one function is time complexity function is n square plus 100n plus log n plus 1000. Okay. Here, what is the bigger function is n square. Okay. Remaining n and log n are smaller functions when compared to n square. So that is why whenever we have expression, step count expression like this, we can write directly n square. So we ignore the small order terms. 100n is small order terms when compared to n square. Similarly, log n is also smaller order term when compared to n square. So that is why whenever this kind of expressions are there, just what we do is we take the higher order term, n square only. Some other example is here, you take n power 4 plus 100n square plus 50. So here what is the higher order term? N power 4. So we take n power 4 only. So that means when compared to the growth rate of n power 4, the growth rates of 100n square, 10n, 50 is negligible. So that is why we should not take them into count. So that is why whichever term is higher order, that only we will consider, right?
Sir, here rate of growth is similar to higher order degree, sir. Means n power 4, n power n cube.
Here the point you have to remember is the growth rate of higher order term is more. So when compared to the growth rate of this higher order term, the growth rate of 100n square
remaining terms is negligible.
So that is why you don't consider that. Similarly, you take another expression, 10n cube plus 2n square. Here, higher order term is 10n cube. 10n cube, right? So here we are ignoring this coefficient also. 10 is also ignored.
Yes, sir.
So only n cube.
N cube.
Right? So
Yes,
constants are also ignored. And similarly, sometimes 10 is there. We'll treat it as 1 only, constant. 1 means constant.
Constant.
1273. This is also constant time. So 1273 is also represented as 1. Right? So now, for example, whenever time complexity is given, what is the time complexity of this? N power 4 plus 100n square plus 10n plus 50. Then you say it is order of n power 4. Simply order of n power 4. Here simply it is order of n cube. It is simply order of n cube for this. Here, what is the time complexity of 10? It is simply order of 1. Remember, order of 1, not order of 10. Similarly, 1273. This is also constant. So you have to say the time complexity is order of 1. Okay. So that is how we can specify the asymptotic notations. Now we see 3 different asymptotic notations, that is big O, omega and theta. Okay. So all of you note down the definition of big O, omega and theta notations. First we look at big O. Okay. So the first point you have to remember is the big O notation describes upper bound. Upper bound. So you know upper bound and lower bound are best case, worst case, average case. Can you tell me your understanding about this? Any one of you? Sivakumar, Rajesh, okay, continue.
Sir, upper bound means best possible case. Means here in this graph, n is best case means, and average case is f of n, and worst case is g of n, sir, means cg of n.
No, not like this. What is your understanding of upper bound or lower bound or first case, best case, average?
Sir, here best case is means when we have taken when we get a less time complexity and space complexity, then we consider that one as a best case.
Right. Very good. So I will give an example. I want to search a student in the classroom. I want to search for a particular student, right?
Yes,
So what I will do is I will start from one end. I will start from one end and I will search for the student, whether student is available or not.
yes,
So if I am lucky, what happens is whoever student I am searching may be available in the first bench and in first place. Then what happens? So in the first 1 minute,
then equal to means here n equal to 1, sir. Means,
immediately I can find.
yes, sir.
But if I am not lucky, the student I am searching may be sitting in the last bench. Then what happens? I have to go one by one and I have to compare one by one. So
As the number of steps increasing, sir.
Increases. So n number of comparisons are required.
Yes, sir.
So in best case, only one comparison will gives me the solution.
Yes, sir.
In worst case, maybe I require n comparisons to find out the answer.
Yes, sir.
Right? So that is what. So how much time I have to spend maximum to find the student? Order of n. Here in this particular example, if n students are there, the maximum time I have to spend to find out the student is order of n. So that is worst case. Maximum time is worst case. What is the best case? Minimum time. How much minimum time I have to spend to find the students? Order of 1. One comparison. Student sitting in the first bench, first row. Then immediately I can find. So order of 1. So that
Sir,
is the best.
means here when we means big of order of 1 is best case, sir, for means when we have find in first
in
first
our
place.
example, in our example, order of 1 is best. It depends upon
When he is at last bench means big of n, sir, worst case.
we go often. In our particular example, searching example, right? Linear. Linear search. Best case is 1, worst case is n. Okay. So the best case means minimum amount of time I have to spend. That is lower bound. Worst case means maximum amount of time I have to spend is worst case. Okay. So here in this asymptotic notation, big O notation, what big O notation will give you? Upper bound. Upper bound means it will give you worst case time complexity. It will give you worst case time complexity. Okay. Now the definition of big O is f of n is big O of g of n if and only if there exist two positive constants c comma n naught such that f of n is less than or equal to c into g of n for all n greater than or equal to n naught. So all of you remember this definition because we cannot change this definition. F of n is big O of g of n if and only if there exist two positive constants c comma n naught such that f of n is less than or equal to c into g of n for all n greater than or equal to n naught. Here what is f of n? F of n is our step count function. What is g of n? G of n is our growth rate functions. Earlier we have seen growth rate functions as constant, log n, n log n, n square, n cube, 2 power n. So all those functions, growth rate functions are nothing but your g of n. So you can say, you can write g of n is 1, that is constant. G of n may be log n, that is logarithmic. So g of n may be linear n. G of n may be n log n, like that. Or g of n may be n square, like that. Or n cube, or it may be 2 power n. G of n may be 2 power n. Like that you can write. What is f of n then? F of n is your step count function. For example, in the previous case, sum of in the finding sum, what is the step count function? F of n you have written as 2n plus 3. Okay. Earlier example, for finding the sum of n elements in the given array, we have find out the step count. Step count where we got 2n plus 3. Total number of steps in the algorithm is 2n plus 3. That is your f of n, time complexity of your algorithm, right? Now, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to express our time complexity f of n in terms of standard functions, by satisfying this condition. Okay, that we will see in the next slide. For example, you take 3n plus 2, our f of n is 3n plus 2. You can write 3n plus 2 as less than or equal to 4n. Yes or no? 3n plus 2 is less than or equal to 4n. You can write one statement like that. Okay? For all n greater than or equal to 2. So you can say 3n plus 2 is big O of n. 3n plus 2 is big O of n. Similarly, you take another function like f of n is 10n square plus 4n plus 2. Right? So here, if you express this in big O, this is f of n, which is less than or equal to 11n square. So here what is 11? What is 11 here? The 11 is c. I told you that big O notation is f of n is less than or equal to c into g of n for all n greater than or equal to n5, n naught. So here your c is 11, your g of n is n square, and your value c naught is 5. So for all n greater than or equal to 5, this equation will become true. So if it is the case, then you can say that your f of n is said to be in big O of g of n. What is g of n here? N square. So you can write f of n is order of n square. Okay? Understood? Similarly, 10n square plus 4n plus 2. Is it order of n cube or order of n square? 10n square plus 4n plus 2. Is it order of n square or order of n cube? Kiran Kumar. Kiran Kumar, respond. G. Kiran Kumar. Shiva Kumar. Okay, when I ask a question, if you don't respond, assume you will get absent. Kiran Kumar, leaving. Okay, Kiran Kumar and Shiva Kumar, you got absent today. Ananya.
Sir.
Once again, I am going to take attendance after 5 minutes. Okay, now strength is
somebody removed me from meeting, sir. Just now I joined again, sir.
Yeah, sir. I also removed from meeting.
Sir, same here, sir.
Okay, no problem. When I am taking attendance, the strength is 47. Now it is, the strength is 61, sorry. Now the strength is 48. So some students are intentionally, after taking attendance, they are leaving
Sir,
the class.
somebody is continuously removing me, sir.
Sir, someone is removing, sir. Me too, sir. Someone is removing.
Okay.
Sir, change attendance.
Someone is removing, sir.
Now I think it is not possible. I have changed the settings. Okay, so now 51 students are there, right? Okay, now tell me, Uday Sai. Uday Sai, are you there? Rahul Srinivas.
Yes, sir.
Rahul Srinivas, tell me, what is your understanding?
Yes, sir.
10n square plus 4n plus 2 equal to order of n cube. Is it okay? Is it right or wrong?
10 square gives square.
Sir, some idiot is always removing me, sir.
Sir, same problem, sir.
Sir, removing, sir, always. Sir, can you please change your settings, sir?
One second. ఏ పనికి మనల్ని ఏదో చేస్తున్నాడు ఆ పని, సిగ్గు శరం లేదా వాడికి?
సార్ ఎవరో పద్దా రిమూవ్ చేస్తున్నాడు సార్.
అదే సన్నాసులు ఎందుకు అలా అంత సన్నాసు ఏదోలా తయారవుతున్నారు వాళ్ళు?
సార్ పార్టిసిపెంట్స్ చేయండి సార్ అందరినీ.
సార్ మళ్ళీ ఇస్తారు సార్.
అందరూ పార్టిసిపెంట్ లాగే సెట్ అయ్యింది ఇక్కడ, అది ప్రాబ్లం. జస్ట్ 1 సెకండ్.
నో సార్, అయినా రిమూవ్ అవుతుంది సార్.
సార్ మీరు ప్రెజెంటర్ గా ఉండి అందరినీ అటెండీస్ గా చేయండి.
అటెండీస్ చేయండి సార్.
సో ఇప్పుడు చూడండి ఆ ప్రాబ్లం వస్తుందా? ఒకసారి మీరు ఒకసారి ట్రై చేయండి. సాయి మనోజ్, you can speak. Sai Manoj.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the algorithm is originally in big O of n square complexity, but we can express it in n cube if we want to for specific values of n.
Right.
Because we can always go to upper limits by extending the scope of values of n. But they may not be tight upper bounds because we can always again optimize it for the least possible value of the algorithm.
Wonderful. So 10n square plus 4n plus 2. This can be expressed as, normally as per our definition it is order of n square only, right? But as per our definition only, it is also true that it is order of n cube, it is order of n power 4, because all these are bigger terms. You can say it is order of n power 5 also, and it is order of 2 power n also. All those are true. But big O is more meaningful when you take as small function as possible. So here, see, it is true for, just give me one minute. This is true for order of n square, right? Similarly, it is true for order of n square also, it is okay, right? It is true for order of n power 4. So all bigger terms, it is true only, right? But big O is more meaningful when you take as small function as possible for this g of n. Actually, this is g of n, right? Here, n square, n cube, n power 4, 2 power n. For all these, this statement is true. But you need to take as small function as possible. What is the small function here? N square. So that is why the time complexity of 10n square plus 4n plus 2 is expressed as order of n square. Even though this is true technically, big O is meaningful when you take as small function as possible. That you remember. Okay, here. So next we take the omega notation. Okay, after big O, omega notation. So omega notation will give you lower bound, whereas earlier big O notation will give you upper bound. Omega notation will give you lower bound. Okay. Lower bound means best case time complexity. So omega notation will always give you best case time complexity, whereas big O notation will give you worst case time complexity, right? Now the definition, if you see, there exist two functions f of n and g of n, such that f of n is greater than or equal to c into g of n for all n greater than or equal to n naught. Okay. So here earlier f of n is less than or equal to c into g of n for big O. Now for omega, f of n is greater than or equal to c into g of n. Okay. So now we take one small example here also. Now 3n plus 2. 3n plus 2 can be expressed as greater than or equal to 3n, where c is 3 and g of n is n. Okay. So you take like this. 3n plus 2 is f of n. F of n is greater than or equal to c into g of n. What is c value? 3. What is g of n value? N. Right? So you can say that 3 of n plus 2 is greater than or equal to 3n for all n greater than or equal to 1. That is why you can say 3 of n plus 2 equal to omega of n. Omega of n. Similarly, if you take 10n square plus 4n, another function, second example, f of n is 10n square plus 4n plus 2. So in this case, you can express 10n square plus 4n plus 2. This is greater than or equal to n square for all n greater than or equal to 1. So here c is 1, g of n is n square, and your n naught is 1. So that is why you can express it as 10n square plus 4n plus 2 is expressed as omega of n square. Okay. Right? Now 10n square plus 4n plus 2 is also omega of n. Right? I will take the whiteboard to explain this. Okay. The whiteboard is visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, fine. For example, if you take f of n is, say, 5n square plus 4n plus 2, right? Then what we have to express as per omega notation, f of n is greater than or equal to c into g of n for all n greater than or n naught, right? Now what I will write is, in case of this 5n square, f of n is, I will write f of n is 5n square plus 4n plus 2, right? So this is greater than or equal to, just I will write n square. Yes or no? Now in this case, for n is equal to 0, is it true? For n is equal to 0, what is this value? 2, greater than or equal to this 0. 2 is greater than or equal to 0, so true. For n is equal to 1, is it true? This side you will get 11 greater than 1, so it is true. For n is equal to 2, is it true? So this will become true. So that means this will be 5n square plus 4n plus 2 greater than or equal to n square is true for all n greater than or equal to 0. So what is your c value here? C means 1 only. So your c equal to 1. What is g of n? G of n is n square. What is n naught? N greater than or equal to n naught. What is n naught? Is 0. These are the values we have calculated here. Now, so when you say that f of n is greater than or equal to n square, you can say that f of n is said to be omega of g of n. F of n is said to be omega of g of n if and only if f of n is greater than or equal to c into g of n. Now what you can say, what is f of n? F of n is 5n square plus 4n plus 2, which is greater than or equal to, which is equal to omega of, what is g of n? G of n is n square, so omega of n square. So you can express 5n square plus 4n plus 2 equal to omega of n square. Good. Right? Now, this is okay. Now what I will write is 5n square plus 4n plus 2 is also greater than or equal to n for some values of c and n naught. Yes or no? Check, because this is smaller term, n square is bigger term, so you can write 5n square plus 4n plus 2 is greater than or equal to n. So in this case, what happens? You can say that it is omega of n is also true. So this is true, this is true, and sometimes I will write 5n square plus 4n plus 2 is greater than or equal to 2. So this is also true. That means omega of, this is some constant, or omega of 1. This is also true. So technically all these three are true, but similar to your big O, here omega is more meaningful when you take as large function as possible for g of n. Now can you take like this 5n square plus 4n plus 2, can you write greater than or equal to n cube? Can you take this? It is not possible. Here n square is less term, n cube is bigger term, so you cannot take this. This is false. So what you have to take is, for omega is more meaningful when you take as large function as possible. Here the large function possible suitable for this expression is n square only. Even though omega of n square, omega of n, omega of 1, all these are true, this is more meaningful. That is why 5n square plus 4n plus 2 is expressed as omega of n square. Omega of n square. Okay. So whereas in earlier we have seen the same example for big O. So in that case, big O is more meaningful when you take as small function as possible. Here for omega, as big function as possible. So in that way, you have to take. Okay. Any questions? Kiran Kumar, you have any questions? Kiran Kumar. Kiran Kumar. G. Kiran Kumar, are you there? Uday Sai. Kiran. Okay, NVS Krishna. Rahul Srinivas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. So what about Uday Sai, Krishna and Kiran Kumar? Can I give absent for you? Okay, I am noting down your names. Fine. Now we will move on to the next notation, that is theta notation. So our big O notation will gives us upper bound, that is worst case time complexity. Our omega notation will gives us best case, that is lower bound time complexity, whereas theta notation will gives us average case time complexity. Okay, average case time complexity. So it is in between upper bound and lower bound. So see this growth rate of f of n. Okay, it is below this C2 of g of n and above of C1 of g of n. Okay, so that is why you can say that theta notation will gives you average time complexity. And if you see the definition of this theta notation, f of n is said to be theta of g of n if and only if there exist two positive constants C1 and C2 and n0 such that C1 into g of n less than or equal to f of n less than or equal to C2 into g of n for all n greater than or equal to n0. So you note down this definition. F of n is theta of g of n if and only if there exist three positive constants C1, C2, n0 such that C1 into g of n less than or equal to f of n less than or equal to C2 into g of n. Okay. We will take one example now. For example, given function is step count function is 3n plus 2. F of n is 3n plus 2. Right? Now this 3n plus 2 can be written as 3n less than or equal to 3n plus 2 less than or equal to 4n. Okay. So here this is C1 into g of n less than or equal to f of n less than or equal to C2 into g of n. Yes or no? So there it is true for all n greater than or equal to 2. So you can say 3n plus 2 is theta of n. Cn plus 2 is theta of n. Okay. So now this 3n plus 2 is greater than or equal to 3n, less than or equal to 4n. So you can say 3n plus 2 is expressed as theta of f of n. Okay. So tips is your big O less than or equal to g of n. So this will give you upper bound. Omega is greater than or equal to g of n. So it will give you lower bound. Omega is equal to g of n. So this is a tight bound. This theta of g of n is equal to g of n. So this is a tight bound or average case time complexity will be obtained by using theta of notation. So these are the three important asymptotic notations: big O, omega, and theta. Big O will give you first case time complexity. Omega will give you best case time complexity. Theta will give you the average case time complexity. Okay. Now see how this is expressed as in terms of time complexity. So here you take the tabular method. Algorithm is sum. So earlier we have calculated total number of steps is S by E into frequency here. Total steps is S by E into frequency. So 1 into 1. So 1 into 1 means 1. So you can express it as order of 1. 1 into n plus 1 is order of n plus 1. 1 into n is order of n. 1 into 1 is order of 1. Now among these two, now which is the bigger term? N plus 1. So you can write order of n plus 1. You can ignore this small order term also. Strictly speaking, this is order of n only, right? Why? Because even though n plus 1 is there, in these two, one is smaller term. One is smaller term. So as I told you, smaller terms are ignored because they are having less growth rate. Okay, when compared to this n, the growth rate of constant is negligible. So that is why you can express it as order of n. Okay, so total time complexity is big O of n. Okay. Similarly, you look at this another algorithm. Okay. So this for loop, there are m plus 1 steps are there. So order of m is the time complexity. J is 1 to n. So time complexity will be m into n plus 1. So if you express it in big O, it is mn plus m. Okay, this is equal to mn plus m. So here the bigger term is mn. So that is why you can express it as order of mn. Similarly, this first statement is get executed mn times. So it is order of mn. So if you see here, among all these, mn is the bigger term. So order of mn is the time complexity for this algorithm. So this is the time complexity for powers of ni problem. So I will explain this time complexity and how it should be solved now. Rajesh.
Sir.
What is the towers of Ni problem? What is towers of Ni problem?
Yes, sir. In the towers of Ni problem, the given 3 towers. In the first tower containing disks, it follows like it takes like first come first serve, sir, and when it distributes the disk, takes the disks means in a tower A, when it distributes its first disk to tower B in an order, sir.
Okay, so I will tell you once again. So, is it whiteboard is visible?
Yes, sir, visible, sir.
Now you take towers of Ni problem. You have given 3 towers.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so call it as tower X or tower Y, tower Z. Tower X is having n minus 1 disks initially. How many disks? N, you can take it as 1 to n or 0 to n minus 1.
Yes,
so
sir.
there are n disks on the tower X. We need to move these towers. We need to move these disks from
Tower X to Y, tower Y or tower Z, sir.
No, tower Y, and tower Z is an intermediate. So you can see this tower X is source, tower Y is destination, tower C is buffer. Okay. Now, if you see the recursive algorithm for this, towers of Ni. Okay, just one second. How you write this? First thing is we need to write algorithm, right? Name of the algorithm is towers of Ni.
Yes, sir.
How many disks are there?
N
parameter is n. N disks are where on the source. So X is the source tower. Where we have to move? Destination
Y.
Y is the destination, right? Second,
Yes.
this is third parameter. So yes. Number of disks, source, destination, buffer tower.
Buffer.
That is buffer. Right. Assume there are more than one disk.
And
more than one. Okay. So first what we do is we call an recursive subfunction towers of Ni. What this function recursive subfunction will do is it will move n minus 1 disks. Okay, n minus 1 disks from tower X to tower Z. So where it move? X to
Z. X to Z.
Z. So in that process, Y can be used as intermediate. So this EOH function is responsible for moving n minus 1 disk from X to Z, where Y is intermediate. But here we need to satisfy 2 conditions. The conditions are only one disk can be moved at a time, and at any point of time, larger disk should not be on the top of smaller disk. So by satisfying these 2 conditions, we need to move. Of course, this subfunction will do same. It will move. It won't move n minus 1 disk. It will move one by one only. Okay. Finally, the outcome of this towers of Ni subfunction is n minus 1 disks are moved from X to Z.
X to Z.
Now what happens? Your source tower is having one disk. Y is no disks.
No disks. Z is having n minus 1 disks.
So now what we do is we move disk from, that is remaining one disk from X to Y. Now what happens? Y is having disk 1.
Y is having disk n.
Now what we do is we call another recursive subfunction towers of ni. Now this will move n minus 1 disks. Where these n minus 1 disks? On Z.
Z.
From Z. Where we have to move Y. Use as intermediate. So this is the algorithm for towers of ni. Okay. So after completion of this statement, the towers will be like this. Tower
X containing this.
Tower
Z.
Now
here X containing no disks, Y containing nth disk, Z containing n minus 1 disks.
Y is 1, Z is n minus 1.
N
Now,
minus Y is nth disk, sir.
We are having one disk here. This is the
N minus 1.
understood? Okay. So here n minus 1 disks are moved from Z to Y. X can be. Okay. Any questions here?
Sir, in conclusion, here n minus 1 disks are moved to Z to Y, sir.
Right.
And that nth disk where we have placed it, sir? Nth disk from X.
No, after execution of this step, what is there? What is this one?
X containing no disks, sir. Y containing nth disk and Z containing n minus 1 disks.
Correct. Now what we have to do? Finally, all disks are moved to Y. Our job is all need to be source to destination. All disks
Yes,
are
sir.
moved from X to Y. Now this is having disk 1.
Yes, sir.
This is from 2 to n.
2 to n. Okay, sir.
Now this 2 to n means we have to move all these n minus 1 from Z to Y.
So it satisfies larger disks, smaller. We should not place larger disks on smaller disks.
No, it
Here
is
it will be proved. It will be satisfied.
Yes, it is satisfying. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So these are the steps, right? Now we see time complexity. How the time complexity is obtained? Simple. I will give expression. Next class, I will tell you how to solve it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Assume the time required for this is T of n.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is the time required for this then?
Yeah.
T of,
Yeah. T of n minus
n minus 1, right? Because here
Yes.
we are moving n disks.
n disks.
That is why T of n. How many disks we are moving here?
N minus 1 disks from
Minus 1.
yes.
This is one step.
1 T of 1.
This is
N minus 1.
T of n minus 1. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now we are comparing here. This is one
Here
step,
1.
right?
Yes,
Or
sir.
if you take only number of disk moves as time complexity, number of disk moves as time complexity, here assume T of n is the number of disk moves for n disks.
For
Here
n disks, yeah.
T of n
N
minus
minus 1
1.
disks.
Here we are moving one disk. So 1 T of n minus 1. So finally you can write it as
3Tn minus 2.
T of n is
3Tn minus 2
of T into n minus 1 plus 1.
plus 1.
So all of note down this equation, we will see how it will be solved in the next class. In the next session, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
T of n is 2 T of n minus 1. This can be solved by using substitution method. I will explain that method, okay, in the next class. So just
Yes,
note
sir.
down the equation. Once again, I may not explain all this, right?
Yes. Okay, sir.
Thank you. I will stop here, right? Thank you. So you can leave the session now.